So we've got a couple, as the moderator, I get to ask the first couple questions, and then I'm going to turn to students to see if they have any before we get the rest of the room engaged. So ready, students? Okay. So the first is for Stu to comment on the current infrastructure that you could utilize for the pilot broadband project.
Thanks, Jack. I think a couple of physical assets within the West Hills District come to mind. We have a campus here in Coalinga. We have our campus in Lemoore. These are full, comprehensive, two-year public community college physical settings. We have our West Hills Community College District site that will begin construction soon on a new facility adjacent to our main campus in Coalinga. We have 8 child development centers that range from Avenal up to Firebaugh, sprinkled throughout some of our most rural communities, including Tranquility and San Joaquin and Mendota. We have our Westside Institute of Technology housed at Mendota High School that has some capabilities there. And then we have our 215-acre working farm in the future in Coalinga. So those are some initial assets that we have. I think secondarily, we are looking at partnerships with city facilities, rural post office, secondary K-12 sites, industry partners and employers. Our contract training efforts touch employers throughout our 3,500 square mile district, from Fresno down to Avenal and beyond, up to the north in Avenal. So we have a variety of our own assets, and we have a variety of partnerships that I think are there for us to potentially utilize.
William, in your capacity as a Westlands Water District Director, what about the kinds of possibilities that your extensive system of rights-of-way may offer for installation of broadband?
Well, I just start off to say that, I can't represent Westlands, but I could put an idea forward. It will take 5 out of the 9 of us to make any kind of decision. But I'm definitely an advocate for something like that, and the district the board is made up of growers, and those growers, in my experience, are very neighborly and help each other out on every opportunity. So I definitely think this is something we would consider and analyze, and so I will do my best to see where it goes from there. But I do think we do have right-of-ways, and if it's something that would benefit the community, I don't see why we wouldn't take a hard look at it. And I think everybody would benefit.
Sonia, I can see you wanting to.
I was just going to say, if I may, there are other communities that have done a lot of work with local water boards. So there are models to follow that are out there that have worked very well. That can always give us an edge in the planning process.
Students, burning questions. All right, we'll come back to you. You've yielded the floor. We will take it. So the one question I have for you, Ricardo, is you're only 2 miles away. What do we need to do to get you hooked up with all the fine people in the room, and do you need money from USDA?
Robert last night said that we got this. I think it was $1 billion, yes? Really what we need from anyone who's looking to bring infrastructure here is let us talk to your IT team. In my experience, they're the ones who really know what your limitations are. And you may know as well. I mean, if you're operational, or are you really involved in it, then we can discuss technology. But again, it can get boring if you're not into it, right? But usually they'll be the ones to talk to because they'll tell us, hey, here's where our deficiencies are, here's what our needs are, here's what we have. And more often than not, you'll be amazed of the operational cost that we can save you. And you're looking not only at the infrastructure we have today, it's brand new. It's only 5 years old. And what that means is that you're getting a brand new opportunity to have technology that if you're using someone today, you're looking at 30 years plus that's been there. Yes?
Okay, you say you're 2 miles away from where? I mean, we know you serve our Lemoore campus, so we are connected with you.
I will defer that to Mike.
You're 2 miles away from where?
Yeah, so from
Harris Branch, from Coalinga?
Yeah, from Coalinga. And so basically we have a major backbone that we acquired that goes from downtown San Francisco down to downtown Los Angeles. And Thank you. And it's connecting the two major data centers in California, which is one Wilshire in Los Angeles and 11 Great Oaks in San Jose. And so you have virtually unlimited bandwidth available through this area. The closest to Coalinga is right at Lost Hills Road and 198. I have a vault sitting there that I can pull out of and deliver services anywhere through the area. And we're not afraid to build. Recently we extended, I think, just over 6 miles to one of the wonderful orchard facilities in Lost Hills. And so they had got a new gigabit service. Did the same thing off of Kings Road for wonderful. And so, we've built 14 miles for a single school. And so, there's lots of opportunities. We're hoping to be able to build dual 10 gig circuits into Taft College here shortly. If West Hills Coalinga needs one, we're happy to build those services in. And we connect you directly to Scenic, which is the Corporation for Educational Networks in California.
Yeah, AT&T won't commit to 10 gig in this order, so that's.
Yeah, quite frankly, we could easily do 100 gig to your campus. We're upgrading, County Office of Education 100 gig circuits now. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, okay. So we're starting to upgrade all the County Office of Education to 100 gig, because how all these schools are getting bandwidth is, we provide these huge pipes between Scenic and the County Office of Education. School districts connect to the COEs, and the schools connect to the district office. And so we provide that whole slew of services. But we also do that on the commercial level as well, to individual businesses and all of the CSUs and community colleges as well.
And I'll just add, just to what Mike talked about in construction, more often than not, we pick up the construction cost unless there is absolutely necessary to reach out to someone to help with that. And that being said, it's just the sheer fact that we're able to do things that are not normal. And, me coming from a big corporation dealing in the infrastructure side of fiber optics as well, I'll never forget this. When Mike and I first met him, he gave me this, he talked about one of the schools in the South Valley. I'd been waiting for a fiber circuit for roughly about a year or so. And school was to start in about 10 or 11 days. And they placed a call. Because of the relationship that we have with the different cities and the fact that we manage Fresno infrastructure and other municipalities, he was able to deliver a fiber optic line in 8 days. Something unheard of. They dig over 5 miles to deliver this in 8 days. To me, in the world that I was in before, that would have taken me years just to get it approved all the way to Philadelphia and back. And we're able to do that not only because we have the assets to do it, but rather because we have the relationship between the government and a private entity. And that's what we're looking for, where we can come in and say, you know what, there's such much red tape. This infrastructure and this company was created to service, I would say, the San Joaquin Valley and Central Valley, considering San Francisco and LA, but we're more than willing to really develop the area if you guys can help us.
So I just want to make one comment. Really appreciate your being here, and as a local partner in the community, both you, Ricardo, and Sonia, and these are great examples of local companies providing solutions in the area. I do want to make the point that when you bring that gigabit, 10 gigabit, 100 gigabit to a location, let's say a farm, of course that's not going to be 100 gigabit, there's still the issue, you're not done, because all these issues of connecting up ag tech, you've now connected up the one place in the facility. Now you got to connect up all the acreage to be connected to whatever you want to do with it. And that's going to require a Wi-Fi setup or a 900 megahertz setup or both, and a variety of technologies that will connect up all your sensors and all your technology. So realize, everybody, that even once we've got VAST to the spot, we still then have another huge challenge to solve, because there's still likely not wireless over there, is now we got to propagate signal across that entire property so all this wonderful technology actually works. It's not enough just to light up the facility at one spot. It's got to be propagated through the whole thing. And that's really complex, and really expensive. And most farmers don't have the IT staff and the know-how to make that happen without paying someone to do it at pretty great expense and time.
And that's where we come with the operational cost. I mean, if you're paying X amount of money, we can cost literally that in half, or even sometimes it's crazy. I mean, I've seen it where it's thousands of dollars. Then you can focus yourself and, what is it going to cost? I mean, obviously there's going to be an increase on benefits. Bringing in that technology would allow you to be more efficient. There will be things that you can do because of it. And you're correct. We have to then partner up. And a lot of the resources I get and I work with is a lot of IT companies. They manage some of these farms, and they tell me, look, I cannot get anything out there. Can you bring fiber up to this point, and I'll just microwave this thing up there or do something.
And one thing, we work with a variety of other vendors on the wireless side, wired broadband, Sonia Harris and so there's a lot of opportunities. We're working on Wi-Fi projects for outlet centers and apartment complexes. And so, we can help you bring the other players to the table. We need to figure out how it is that, what makes most sense. How's the best way to simplify this for the end user? Because you're right, they don't have IT people. You need to be able to have, some fairly simple package that can do it. We're working with another company that's focusing on some of the ag technology and wireless at the actual farms. And so, I think that there are a lot of options out there. We've got to wade through them, kind of as a group and figure out what is the best way to keep this simple for the end user and the farmer, and to bring the right people in that can, play a really important role in making this happen. Because you're right, getting a 100 gig circuit out to a farm does very little, except for it makes the people in the farm very happy. But out in the field, it does not. It does very little. And so you've got to continue. This is the same bottleneck that we work constantly to fix with the schools, where you got a huge pipe to the county office and a huge pipe to the district office, but the individual schools have these very narrow pipes to the district office. And so district office, their staff is very happy. They get basically unlimited bandwidth, but the kids where we're trying to get this bandwidth to, they're struggling because there's just not those pipes between. And so it's constantly upgrading and figuring out how do we, solve each one of these bottlenecks as they come up. Because, as soon as we solve one, there's another one down the road that we've got to work together and figure out what's the solution to this bottleneck.
So to answer your question, Jack, that's why we have to get to the individuals that are involved in the operations. And if they do have an IT company, then bring in your engineers so that we can then have this discussion. Because we then, as Mike is describing, we begin to piece together a solution where we may reach out to Sonia or Mark over on Wire or someone from Teledata or whoever that we know that we have relationship with. Say, here is the situation. Here's what they're facing. How can we make this a solution? And then we all partner up and provide that solution. Because the farming community, or even businesses for that matter, they don't know. They just know that they need to have the speed and they need to have a solution and how to deal with it. And you're right, they often don't have an IT group involved. So then we can be an asset and as a resource, bring those knowledgeable people to say, hey, here's a solution that we can come up with, introduce these individuals, and then make everything happen.
Thank you, Ricardo. So, William.
Really quickly, just to bring some context to your comments, we're a farm that does bring in 100 megabits, and we do point to some of our packing sheds. It may not make sense to do it out to the farm, but our packing sheds are sophisticated with robotics and very data intensive, and so it's happening. And some of the farms on the west side are large enough that they need this kind of information because it is data intensive, and we're willing to invest in highly technical, highly sophisticated equipment that requires quite a bit of infrastructure, and we can make it happen out here on the west side. It's phenomenal what we're capable of growing and how much we're able to produce, and then just with the advent of technology, and where it even gets more important is traceability for food safety. And that's where you're going to have to get back out to the farm and where that information is critically important.
So thank you. So Chancellor Emeritus Gornick has a question.
Well, one of the things that sustaining something like this is what I'm thinking about, and also being able to deliver it to the home, because we're all interested in learners, or we're interested in health in some ways in terms of communicating that, and so I guess my question is for the panel. So how do we sustain something like that? How does the home get acquisition to this when AT&T and the satellites no longer want to do any work out here because it's not profitable? So how do we sustain this effort?
You know, we're working in different projects, and Mike can probably speak a little bit more in Shafta and in different areas of the marketplace. You look at also wireless technology, even to the extent of Verizon and T-Mobile, they also use our backhaul. We're providing that infrastructure as well.
I think, it is there's a lot of different ways to help solve this. We run fiber to a lot of towers, which can increase the LTE coverage and provide greater speeds on the cell phones. That's one way. There's a lot of county office of education and school districts that are really pushing and creating some wireless networks specifically for their students. Kings County I know has it. Lindsay Unified has done some things where they're creating some wireless networks because the kids and the homes in the area just don't have access to broadband. When I was with Kerman Telephone here on the west side, I spent about 10 years working in Kerman. We went out and we got round one ARA funding to build fiber in San Joaquin and Tranquility. So there's grants out there that can allow you to go out and do fiber to the home projects and extend to some of these communities. The difficulty with the grants is, you've got a lot of the incumbent providers that, aren't completely honest with what they say that they can provide in those areas, and so suddenly, that area is not available for a grant because, a AT&T or some other provider says, oh, we can provide 100 megabit service. Well, nobody that is in that community is apparently aware of that or has ever seen that speeds, and so, it can be a long process if you're going after grants, but there are grants that are available. Robert, there's a number through USDA that we've looked at in the past, and so, again, it's a community effort. It's multiple people coming together. There's not one individual in this room that can solve this problem. It's really working with the state, with the federal government, and all of the stakeholders here to figure out how it is that we can make a difference in these individual communities.
Sonia, you wanted to add something to that?
Yes. So we are talking different layers here. We're talking the big boys, the campuses, the large farms. That next layer is smaller companies, smaller farms, and then we get to the home. It's the same way with the roads. If we go back to that, you need those large fiber connections to those big locations, and then you narrow down the road and narrow down the road. Fixed wireless is a really good solution for those homes. The majority of my company is residential. Or small home offices. And the part of that that's sustainable there is we build in a 3-year replacement cost on our entire system. So hopefully, most of the time, I never see that customer again for 3 years because they've had no problems. And the only time they call me is if they want to upgrade their speed or go to a higher package. Luckily, some of the technology has improved and some of our fiber connections have improved, that our speeds have gone up and our prices have gone down. And that will continue to progress, Moore's Law and all of that. Where you have some different difficulties is sometimes just the upfront cost. It does take for my company, if you're on a 2-year contract, it's $95 upfront cost, and a basic 3x1 package is $49 a month. That can be cost prohibitive to a home, and I can't get that lower and still keep my company in business. That's why AT&T is not here. That's definitely not where they're caring to put that speed. So it's the smaller companies like mine that started because we all were sick of having dial-up, and we knew somebody who had just enough tech that we could MacGyver a system and put it in place. And every single one of these guys, I just went to a conference last month, everyone is a little, loose of an engineer with a screw missing here or there that put things together with baling wire and duct tape and zip ties at the beginning and have got it a little more established as they move forward. That local provider, one or two, you probably have one or two here, they are your person to be your key partner in getting those homes served.
Questions here in front, and we've got according to my phone 3 minutes before Linda decides to slit my throat. So be careful.
We have 100 towers
Well, how about that? I was using my professor voice there. I hope it carried.
It was a wireless problem.
Yeah, exactly. What's also interesting is the telecommunication industry is an incredible ecosystem. We are competitors, we're partners, we're customers of each other. Steven, for example, we're customers of each other. We partner a lot for opportunities. I know that we were talking about, William was talking about point-to-point services. I believe you're one of our customers for that point-to-point service. So we serve small customers, residential customers, like Sonia had indicated. We're a terrific solution for those. But we also serve large enterprises. We serve international farming operations. We serve both as a primary provider and as a secondary or disaster recovery provider as well. And so there's some real potential in this technology. I've got one customer right now that's on a 100 meg fiber connection. And they've got, it's a multi-tenant operation, and they're replacing it with a wireless connection, a 200 meg wireless connection from us. They're already on the service. The multi-tenants don't know that they're on their service. All they can see is that increased bandwidth and the speed and the reliability. So there really are some technical solutions out there, and partnering with folks like Steven and Sonia's company and others, there are some solutions, and we look forward to being a part of that.
Okay, so I've been instructed that we're going to cut this off so we have enough time for networking and lunch. And I'm just going to conclude by saying keep hope alive. We've got people who are dedicated to this, from West Hills to the providers and a lot of other people in this room. And hopefully we're back here a year from now and can point to some tangible results from this conference. And so before we wrap up today, we're going to have some actual to-do items for people in this room. So stay tuned, enjoy your lunch, and thank you very much.